Welcome to the very first episode of LivByte, the podcast that explores the intersection of technology and innovation. I'm your host, Danielle Dolloff, and I'm thrilled to be kicking off this exciting new venture. Each week, we'll be diving into topics that matter to entrepreneurs, tech enthusiasts, business owners, and anyone interested in the latest trends and ideas in the business world. We'll be featuring interviews with experts in their field, discussing current events and industry news, and sharing insights and tips to help you grow and succeed. So you might be wondering why we decided to start this podcast. Well, at Liventus, we believe that knowledge is power. We've been in the technology industry for over 2 decades, and we've seen firsthand how important it is to stay on top of the latest developments and trends. Our core values speak of innovation, integrity, value creation, teamwork, and expertise. Therefore, we wanted to create a platform where we could share our knowledge and expertise with others. And that's how LivByte, the podcast, was born. In the first episode, we're going to be introducing you to Liventus, the company. You'll get to meet our founder and learn about our journey, our vision, and what sets us apart from the competition. We'll also be discussing some of the challenges they face along the way and what's next for Liventus. It's going to be a good conversation, and I can't wait for you to hear it. So without further ado, let's dive into the first episode of LivByte. Dan Levin is president and founder of Liventus. His journey began in 2002 as a developer and quickly expanded into managing technology across several organizations. With an entrepreneurial spirit, he went on to found Liventus with a vision to build custom software to enable businesses to grow and thrive. Welcome, Dan. Thanks for joining us today on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So why don't we just jump in? Can you tell us a little bit about Liventus and what inspired you to start this company?
Sure. So the name Liventus actually means live and invent success. I suppose there's a slight play on my last name too, which is why I liked it. Mm-hmm. And I think the meaning kind of speaks to the entrepreneurial spirit that we have and that we were founded on. So Liventus is a custom software development firm. That's not necessarily what we set out to be 20 years ago. When I started, my partner Sam brought me on to automate his other companies, one being an equipment leasing company and the other being a CPA firm. And they, obviously the equipment leasing company has a specialty in equipment finance and leasing, but so does the CPA firm. And in the beginning, back in 2002, I was brought on to do work internally for those companies, upgrade the infrastructure and implement, CRM systems and paperless office and e-commerce sites and intranets and custom programs to automate those companies and kind of bring in and introduce technology to them. And, you have to think back to those days. That was pretty much right after the dot-com boom, right? And people weren't necessarily doing those things. They were websites were still new to some companies. So, I have a background in computer science and information system, and I brought in a few clients from college that I had, built a relationship with to make money on the side while I was at college, programming e-commerce sites and other things. And, for Beacon and ECS, we were doing all this cool programming. And over the years, I just picked up more clients through, more word of mouth and more relationship building, and was applying to those a lot of what I had learned at Beacon and ECS. And so in the beginning, I wasn't necessarily looking to start a company, but I realized, working with my own clients was and could be a lot more lucrative in the long run than continuing to work internally on our systems. And I was doing both sides of the business. I was picking up clients and running a business within ECS at the time to do this automation for other clients. And I was also doing the automation. So I was programming and building information systems out and building relationships and managing those relationships. So I just needed more help. I needed to hire more people to be able to handle the bandwidth and the pipeline of work that I had built, as well as the work for the internal automations and the internal programming. So eventually, though, kind of came a fork in the road where I had to choose, whether or not to run Liventus or continue to run the internal operations for Beacon and ECS, and I chose the former. So, circling back to the main question about inspiration, I think for me, the inspiration always came about from creativity and solving problems. I loved when systems that I developed helped other people do their jobs and really made an impact, helped grow other companies, and whether that was through programming or infrastructure or consulting and advice. I was making a big impact on other companies and just other people in general. And I can see that. I could see people logging into the systems I created, and that was a rush for me. So, that was certainly an inspiration to keep doing that and keep having an impact. And, today our systems are used by millions, hundreds of millions of people, systems that we develop and maintain. So that feeling is still very addictive for me. The feeling of knowing that we're making some sort of impact.
Oh, I bet. It's fun to watch these businesses grow, to enable them. You almost feel part of their team. And as they succeed, you kind of feel that same success, I bet, because the technology you've built and our team has built is a big part of either removes blockers or obstacles or kind of fuels growth. So that's exciting.
And that kind of became our business model, quite honestly, because we were partnering with these companies and we were partnering to help them better their business. And that's just the way that we did business. And, so we weren't out there as shrewd businessmen trying to, maximize our profits or anything. We really went in there and really tried creating solutions for clients. And, we still maintain that type of way of doing business. So,
yeah, we have many clients we've had for, some that are getting into decades, right? There's a few out there, but they certainly, they may come in for one small project, but they end up staying because we become part of their team and they trust us. But that's fun. That's the fun part for sure in this. All right. My next question is, what do you see as the biggest trends and challenges facing the technology industry in the coming years? And how should a business position itself to stay ahead of the curve? There's a lot going on these days, so it's hard for businesses, right?
Yeah, it's, I think the biggest trend at the moment is AI and, artificial intelligence, machine learning. And of course, I always consider cybersecurity as something that's both a trend as well as a challenge. And, I'm ashamed to admit I didn't see the likes of ChatGPT coming as fast as it did. And I don't know if anyone did either, though, which is why we see a lot of very powerful and in the know people asking for a 6-month pause on it until we can get our heads wrapped around it and maybe some oversight into it. But at a high level, I guess, and in short, our field changes so rapidly, and it's critical that we're able to be proactive and that we can adapt. So technology, and this is no different. Technology has always been advancing very rapidly, and today probably at an unprecedented pace. And it seems that it just gets exponentially faster as time goes on. So being agile and adaptable is essential to be competitive and to stay competitive. One way that we do this is just by embracing the culture of continuous learning and improvement. So at Liventus, we invest in ongoing training for our employees and we stay on top of industry trends. So to help ensure that we can offer as a service the most up-to-date and innovative solutions to our clients, because that's what they look to us for. And, going back to AI and machine learning, the advances just in the last couple of months, like I said, are crazy to see, and they're making huge strides, and they're being integrated into our daily lives, just like all new technology is. So, you have to upskill your employees to harness these types of advancements. And, so continuous culture of learning and not necessarily waiting to learn these new technologies, but really going after them before, for us, we're a service-based company. So going after them before the request comes to us. We want to be experts in these new advancements before we're asked about them. So, and you just have to do constant learning, constant reading, by the time you become an expert at something, it's already out of date and it's obsolete. So that's technology for you. And I mentioned cybersecurity, and regarding that, just like technology is advancing so rapidly, the number of connected devices we have to cloud services and the reliance on cloud services is also growing exponentially, which means cybersecurity just becomes more prevalent than ever from a threat standpoint and from something that you need to stay on top of. So I think that's also crucial for businesses to prioritize and invest in training and robust infrastructures to protect themselves and make that a top priority and stay up to date on those trends and technologies.
Always constantly changing. You touched on it a little bit earlier, but in our business, we're doing custom software, e-commerce, data management. So we've got to keep our teams up to date on the latest technologies. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what we do or what you do in, keeping up on those technologies? Because not every new thing is worth pursuing, right? So you have to stay up to speed on what's new, but how do you keep your teams engaged and on the cutting edge, and how to kind of keep yourself?
So how do we stay up to date, right? And how do we
Exactly?
So I would say, I can look at this as a former developer. I don't develop anymore, thankfully, but I've been on kind of all sides of the equation. So as a former developer and as an entrepreneur, I do see that importance of staying up to date with the technologies, because as a developer, if I, didn't read a book for 3 months or didn't read articles for a couple of months, I quickly became out of date. There were new terms that I'd never heard of. And I said, I really need to figure out a way to separate myself from the work a little bit and make sure that I'm continuing my education around this stuff. So for us, it's built into our core values, some of which include innovation and value creation and expertise. And you can't have those unless we figure out how to stay up to date and how to stay in the know. So our strategies include regular training and workshops. We have a unique benefit in our continued learning program where we don't just create career paths, or we don't just have career paths around our employees' education, but we're incentivizing them to go get educated. We're incentivizing them and paying them, bonuses to get advanced degrees, to get certifications, and we give some company time for them to learn that, which is built into the career development program as well. And we have a strong culture that we promote of self-learning. So not just using our continued program, but self-learning and continuous feedback channels so that can spread the knowledge, because if all the knowledge is held within just a couple people, that's going to be great for them and that's going to be great for the projects they're working on. But how do you get that knowledge spread across the company? And so we have this, promoted culture of communication, and we also have a lot of, internal development projects and R&D so that we can do some innovation internally, and that lets us keep up to date with technology and, just overall collaboration. I would say is really key and important, because at any company, there's going to be, you would hope, at least a few smart people. And part of a successful company, just like any successful sports team, any successful group that has to act as a team, you got to figure out a way to incorporate other people on that team, right? And in order to do that, the really good people have to make the other people better. And I think our culture and the way that we go about just our communication and our trainings and our workshops and our structure and organization, I think that we have a pretty good way of making sure that happens.
Yeah, so important. And I bet, for each individual to feel that Liventus is investing in their development and their growth. It's good for business, it's good for the clients, but I imagine it also brings a good culture, because the developers, the team senses that we care and we want them to continue their learning and expertise, growing their skills. So I don't think we've ever counted the amount of projects we've done, and it's been 20 years of doing projects and clients and, exciting things along the way. But can you highlight some of maybe the most exciting projects, some of the projects that stand out to you, maybe some that you're proud of, any in the past 20 years that when you look back, that kind of stand out to you want to share with us today?
Yeah, so I think I'll answer this in maybe a little bit of a roundabout way.
Go ahead, go for it.
Because I don't want to single out any specific client project, but honestly, to me, and I kind of alluded to it before, I mean, the most exciting projects are when there's a great collaboration with the teams. It sounds a little hokey, but with the client and our team working together, those are my favorite projects. I love when clients have aha moments, due to our solution planning or engineering, and we partner together and we're partnering to solve complex problems, and we create solutions that help many people and our clients, and that will always be exciting to me, regardless of the technology stack or the industry or the type of application it is. Solving a problem and having fun along the way will always be exciting. So I guess, in other words, innovation, creativity, impactful outcomes, maybe uh, diverse challenges, which gives us the ability to continue to learn, continue to grow, and then also building long-term relationships. Because part of helping our clients solve problems is, like I said, we're going to use the word partner a lot, and we're partnering with them. We're becoming friendly with them because we're working together so much, and I think all of that kind of makes projects exciting. We've had super huge projects that last, that they span multiple years. And sometimes those are just as exciting as smaller ones, because when we're all in a room together with a client and we're whiteboarding a workflow or a solution for them, and we're helping them understand their business as much as they're trying to help us understand their business, that's fun, that's exciting. So I think it happens a lot. And so there's no one in particular project. And when I think back to my, I guess I'm at 21 years now of doing this, I think it's more the relationships that strike me as ones that I remember that are exciting or that I was happy to work on. And it's the relationships that I've built over time that really stick out more so than necessarily just the project.
Yeah, you remember the people, you remember the impact, the relationships you made. That makes so much sense. And that's what's satisfying. That's what's kind of fuels you as an individual. It makes total sense. As you were talking about that, it brought up another question I had around, we keep saying this 20 years. We just had our 20-year anniversary last year. So it's, top of mind still. And it's certainly a nice, milestone to achieve. But as you look back over the 20 years, what are some other milestones? When you build a company from the ground up, which you did, there's inflection points, there's turning points where you chip away at it and all of a sudden something clicks in, you chip away and something clicks. It's never, just this steady stream. It's kind of moves at these points. And you look back, what are some of those kind of key milestones that fueled the growth, or just what you remember as you were building this company, some key moments for you?
That's a good question. So, like I said in the beginning, we probably didn't know what we were doing. 21 years ago, we were doing logo design, for the first 6 months or whatever someone needed, we were doing. And like I said, I was working a lot on internal projects for the other companies. So there was, sometime in 2008 when we started building our data center. I think that was a big milestone. I built a data center in our office building here, and a huge learning experience. And it helped us be a little bit of a differentiator from other competitors. And we certainly use that data center to our advantage. And then I was also running all the infrastructure for our combined companies. And around 2012, which would be about 10 years now into when we started this journey, I stopped running the internal infrastructure, and we brought in help to take a lot of that work off of my hands, which allowed me to, expand the Liventus business and brand and get more clients and get more projects. I'd say another one was probably 2016 when we bought, your husband's company, Tim Dolloff's company, DLS. That was a really great milestone because that's when we really kind of made the decision to put the pedal to the metal a little bit, for lack of a better term, where we can say, hey, you know what, we really have something that's special and that's strong, and it kind of shifted our focus into really building the company. And I think from there, and I guess I missed one, we opened up India in 2012, around the same time that I stopped doing the internal infrastructure. So that was a pivotal year. That was also the year, I believe, that we said, hey, Liventus is doing really well. We should incorporate it. So for the first 10 years, Liventus was a DBA, doing business as Liventus from our accounting firm. So technically, I was an employee of ECS Financial for the first 10 years. And then, so 2012 was definitely a pivotal year. And then 2016 was another big pivotal year. And those are probably two major milestones for us.
Yeah, of course. Those are big moments in time. And in the middle, there's all this hard work that happens, and it's not sexy and exciting, but it's all those building blocks that get you here. So we talked about where we've been a little bit. Can you share a little bit about what you see in our future? I know we've been talking about lately, what you feel you'd like to share with us about how you see Liventus in whatever time frame, in next year, next 5 years, next 10 years. Where would you like us to be as an organization?
I think I want us to continue, obviously, on the rate we're going, and I'd like to see us. We have a heavy focus in the equipment finance and leasing industry that we're going to spend the next several years and hopefully our future on, and implementing a lot of new technologies such as AI and machine learning, continuing to build new competencies around the newer technologies, and including AI and ML, like I just said, but also a lot in data and a lot in cybersecurity. So I think adopting more competencies around the newer technologies, around technologies that we know are going to be really important to drive success to our clients in the future, and just continuing riding the wave that we've been riding. Things are really going in a great direction. There's a lot to be excited about, and I'm certainly excited about it. So the next 3 to 5 years, I think, looks exactly like that. Continue our growth in technology, as well as people, as well as clients, and the type of work that we're working on.
Yeah, I know. I joined about 3.5 years ago, and one of the reasons that got me excited about Liventus and joining this team is the opportunity that I saw and how we can build this business in a healthy way, in a sustainable way. But to be part of building a business and making it grow is certainly exciting to me. And I think, we've done that past couple of years, and I certainly see us have a bright future to continue to do that. All right. So this is our first podcast, entering into the crowded field of podcasters, but sharing our voice regardless. What do you see for the podcast in the future? Is there, what do you think the listeners would get out of it? Topics that you'd like to be talking about? Your thoughts on this podcast as in our inaugural episode here.
Sure. So I think we'd be able to share a lot of valuable insights. And so this could be a really good platform for people to learn about our industry, the industries we serve, technology, share knowledge, and really kind of reach a wider audience with some of those things, if anything, or if nothing. It's a great way for us to continue to have fun conversations. But I think entrepreneurial themes, we can delve into a lot of entrepreneurial stories and maybe interview other entrepreneurs that, I'm always seemingly surrounded with, that industry and, industry trends and insights, like we kind of have talked about AI and machine learning, um, cybersecurity as it relates to software development. I think is something that doesn't get explored enough. I think cybersecurity is such a broad topic, and people tend to just associate it with maybe a hack or, using strong passwords or multi-factor authentication. And, more times than not, it's, people are exploiting something that's in software, and we are building software. So, drilling down into a little bit, we can touch on a lot of cybersecurity threats and themes and how they're related to software development. And, so overall behind the scenes stories as it relates to maybe the Liventus path and the successes and challenges and maybe even failures and our growth and our corporate values and our culture. We can share all sorts of stuff. And like I said, hopefully some guest interviews, and we'll keep it exciting. I don't know how good of a podcast voice I have, and certainly get after a few minutes. So, maybe we can incorporate some technology to make my voice sound more exciting. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we'll explore some AI that'll make it sound, some voiceover actor level. But first of all, nobody likes their voice, so you're not alone, and your voice sounds just fine.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for doing this with me, Dan, today. That's it for today's episode of LivBytes. We hope you enjoyed this interview and learned a little bit more about Liventus. If you found this episode informative and valuable and you love Dan's voice, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you don't miss any future episodes. Also, we'd love to hear from you. We're trying this out. It's our first episode. We'll learn along the way and adjust. If you have questions or comments, reach out to us on social media or email. You can find details in the podcast description to reach out to us. Finally, if you're interested in learning more about Liventus and how we can help your business grow and thrive through technology, please visit our website or contact us to schedule a consultation. We would love the opportunity, as you heard, to learn more about your business. We really dive in and want to be your partner. So we'd love to discuss and see how we can help you achieve your goals. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on LivBytes.
Thank you.